Hello. If you were looking for a scare tonight, you've come to the right place. I'll be narrating an hour's worth of creepy horror stories that I found off of Reddit. So without further ado,
These are their stories.
In simplest terms, Inmate Kristoff W is the most valuable asset in the history of the Agency of Helping Hands. Without him, the agency's ability to fulfill directives would be critically compromised. Kristoff frequently complains that "I'm the only one who does any work around here." While untrue, he is integral to the continued operation of the agency. For this reason, Kristoff enjoys unprecedented privileges. Despite his long relationship with the organization, Kristoff's personal history prior to agency involvement is unknown. Kristoff has been markedly unhelpful in this regard. He deliberately lies about his past on a frequent basis, further complicating a full understanding of his psychological profile. This is unfortunate because from a clinical standpoint, Kristoff is a complicated individual. Kristoff's initial diagnosis was of sadistic psychopathy, due to multiple factors including active participation in treatment plans, extensive cooperation with agency directives, the unprompted undertaking of relationship building with staff and other inmates, as well as an informed reevaluation and re-examination of the psychological impact of the first half of his incarceration at AHH NASCU. Kristoff's diagnoses have been revised. These diagnoses now include behavior addiction disorder, substance abuse disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, rejection-sensitive dysphoria, and schizotypal personality disorder. Although Kristoff continues to display sadistic behaviors, he has developed the ability to control them and now expresses them under sanctioned circumstances only. Due to his significant personal development and exceptional professional value, the agency facilitates periodic expression of these behaviors as a reward for Kristoff's substantial ongoing contributions to the agency. It should be noted that Kristoff has repeatedly requested that the agency retract permission for expression of his sadistic behaviors. The agency has attempted to accommodate this request on prior occasions. However, suppression of the behaviors uniformly results in undesirable outcomes. Kristoff's most recent request to disallow expression of the behaviors have therefore been denied. Please note that the majority of Kristoff's file, including the details surrounding his rewards, are classified at this time. Kristoff has made great improvements in terms of accountability and responsibility, but still struggles with using language that puts distance between himself and his past actions. This tendency actively impedes his treatment. Kristoff has been observed to display aggressive, intimidating, and sexualized behaviors toward individuals who cause him to feel threatened or inadequate. Some of his behavior toward female staff has been particularly disruptive. Steps have been taken to reduce these behaviors, but they remain a challenge for Kristoff. Another challenge faced by Kristoff is his propensity for self-harm. He has been observed to hit himself, cut himself, stab himself, and starve himself. The most disturbing self-harming behavior is his habit of extracting his own teeth, an action he takes after every sanctioned expression of sadistic behavior. It is important to note that Kristoff's teeth always grow back following extraction. Kristoff's teeth are linked to his notable longevity. He ages physically only when there are no teeth in his mouth. As a result, Kristoff has only aged approximately 3 years throughout his long tenure with the Agency of Helping Hands. Kristoff also suffers mild intermittent temporal lobe dementia that manifests approximately 8 hours following teeth extraction. The symptoms no longer manifest once his teeth begin to regrow. Agency personnel believe Kristoff has suffered significant trauma relating to religion, and wish to know more so as to more effectively treat him and support him. Kristoff is exceptionally cooperative, even going so far as to train and mentor other staff. The primary driver of this tractability, and therefore the foundation of his extreme value to the Agency of Helping Hands, is a desire for approval and admiration so profound that it borders on pathological. This clinically significant aspect of his nature is exploitable, and in fact, successful exploitation by agency personnel has resulted in his long and mutually beneficial relationship with the organization. Kristoff responds especially well to verbal praise, and has been observed to exhibit camaraderie, protectiveness, and even instances of tenderness to individuals who consistently provide him with positive reinforcement. He particularly craves approval from individuals who exhibit traits and behaviors that he perceives as strong. To ensure maximal cooperation, Kristoff is assigned as a T-class partner to Commander Raphael Wingeride, AHH's highest-ranking field agent. It must be noted that Kristoff is not an appropriate partner for any female agent under any circumstances. Kristoff is a Caucasian male approximately 40 to 45 years old. He has brown hair and hazel eyes. He stands approximately 6 feet 6 inches tall with a powerful frame. Aside from his stature, his appearance is unremarkable. He demonstrates extreme care in dressing, grooming, and styling. Kristoff has consistently raised objections to the T-Class field uniform, requesting to exercise sole discretion over whether to wear it outside the facility. In an unusual move relative to their typical handling of Kristoff, administration has repeatedly denied this request. Please note that Kristoff is not subject to standard disciplinary protocol. All complaints, objections, and concerns pertaining to Kristoff and his conduct automatically bypass the standard chain of command and go directly to agency administration. Despite experiencing multiple significant challenges, Kristoff continues to demonstrate substantial ongoing personal, emotional, and psychological growth, as well as consistent success in the accomplishment of directives assigned to him. The agency is deeply grateful to Kristoff for his work. Without him, operations at the Agency of Helping Hands would collapse. Kristoff is objectively the best asset in the organization's possession. It is therefore vital that AHH actively cultivates Kristoff's health, well-being, and above all his cooperation by any and all means necessary. Interview subject: The Big Bad Wolf. Classification: String, cooperative/destructible/chthonic- titan/protean/critical/dinos**. Classification string currently pending correction and clarification. Interviewer: Rachelle B. Date: November 26, 2024. I have forgotten more than I will ever remember. I'm glad for this, but you don't care about what I've forgotten any more than I do. You care about what I remember. I remember there was famine when I was young. My mother went elsewhere with her new husband and their baby because she was pregnant again, and we already had no food. They needed to find a place with work and food for their children. They left me behind. Her husband said I had to stay. The time had come for me to feed myself because I was nearly a man. What man, he asked me, would take food from a woman's mouth? I did not want to take food from a woman's mouth. Not any woman, especially not my pregnant mother or my baby sister. But that did not mean I was a man. I have heard people say that the times were different back then, that everyone was grown and married and making babies and taking care of themselves by the age of 13 or some crap such as that. Those people are wrong. I was 13 years old when my mother left me behind, and I was very much a child. I remember I couldn't feed myself. I remember how my fingers swelled and turned purple after I dug in the frozen mud for roots. I remember killing a crippled rabbit and weeping at the sight of its skinny body bleeding on the snow. I remember burying it instead of eating it. I remember going to an abbey for help. I remember it was not good to be in the abbey with the priest, but it was better than frostbite and crippled rabbits even skinnier than I. I remember praying for my mother to come back for me even though I knew she never would. Her husband said I was a man who must fend for himself, and she obeyed her husband in all things like a good Christian woman. I remember growing up. Most of all, I remember that I liked to use my teeth. I don't remember how it began. I'm glad. I don't want to remember. I do remember finding girls and women no one cared about in places no one ever looked. I was small because I'd had so little to eat for too long, but I was pretty. I got that from my mother. I was also strong. I did not get that from her though. When you are pretty, people do things to you. When you are pretty and strong, people let you do things to them. I wish I had not been pretty. I'm glad I am not pretty anymore. I remember that I used my teeth many times. Soon people began to tell of a monstrous wolf with a taste for virgin's blood. That was funny to me because none of the women were virgin. But for some reason, a wolf who eats virgins is much more scary than a wolf who eats non-virgins. The nuns knew and they hated me. They would not touch me except to beat me whenever one caught me with the priest. But the priest protected me as long as he could, not because he cared for me but because of guilt. He liked that I was pretty. He blamed himself for what I became. I remember knowing he deserved to blame himself. Priests had power then that priests today do not. He used that power to shield me, to make the nuns and the brothers lie about my activities and whereabouts. It was easier than it should have been because I chose women who were lesser: whores, servants, madwomen, orphans, even witches. The priest especially approved of my witch hunting. Witches were a very grave matter in those days. He did not like my methods, but he was a man of God, and men of God do not suffer witches to live. I was good at finding women the world did not care about. My mistake was finding one the world did care about. She told me she was a servant visiting the city with her mistress. This mistress was kind and had given her ladies an evening all for themselves. She told me we had the whole night. She told me I was far too pretty for a boy. She told me I was far too strong for a boy. She told me I was hurting her. Then she told me nothing because all she could do was scream. Far too late, and only after I used my teeth, did I learn that girl was no servant. She was the daughter of a rich man and the wife of an even richer husband. She was expensive. Men do not like it when you ruin their expensive things. They dislike it so much that in the end, they they like punishing the ruiner more than they ever even like their ruined things. That's why I was found. I remember the day the priest could not protect me anymore, when the Lord's men came cresting the green hills on their horses. I remember he shoved me out the door and screamed, "Run, boy, run!" I ran. I ran for days, but no matter how far or long I ran, they kept coming. I was nearly caught on the 4th day. The man was small and weak, so he was easy to kill, but I could not kill him before he screamed, which drew the search party to me. I was exhausted, starving, terrified, less than any animal. So I did what animals do. I ran into the forest. Only I wasn't an animal. Animals feed themselves, something I still could not do. I still could not find roots or kill rabbits. I did find water, but it made me sick. My fever ran so hot I burned my own hands when I touched my face, which was strange because I was so terribly cold. The colors in the world were too bright and nothing held its shape. The trees stretched, rocks melted, and a deer spoke to me in the voice of my stepfather. It told me to hang myself. I thought people were behind me, the Lord's men, the nuns who beat me, the priest. When I saw the house, I didn't think it was real. This is funny because of all the things I was seeing. The nuns, the priest, the melting rocks and the deformed trees and the deer that wanted me to die. The house was the only real thing. It wasn't full dark, but stars shone. Smoke came out of the chimney and chickens milled about, plucking bugs from the grass. The last thing I remember is a chicken coming up and pecking my toe. The toenail was so dirty it must have looked like a bug to the chicken. That made me laugh. That was the last thing I remember until I woke up. "There you are," a woman said. A long, terrible moan followed her voice, low and inhuman. I thought it was the voice of a demon, which made me believe I was in hell. I sat up screaming. Someone immediately pushed me back. "Calm down, you're safe," and I tried to squirm away, but the speaker pinned me down. I hate being held down. I fought, but not well. I was too tired, too hungry, too weak. "If you will calm yourself," the speaker said sternly, "I will feed you." I think those were the only words that could have broken through my panic. The speaker was a woman, small and dark, with a hard mouth and bright eyes. "Are you calm?" Before I could answer, that hideous moan came again. I whipped around and saw, "That is Anna, my daughter. Don't be afraid. She is good and gentle." The sight of the thing in the corner made me recoil. She was bony and ugly, with wide glassy eyes. She rocked back and forth and grabbed at the air, making that awful moan. I'd seen people like her in the church. The nuns took them in and cared for them, but the priest said they were abominations, punishment from God himself for great sin. The bony girl turned to me. She didn't seem to see me, but I felt she could sense me, which made me angry. "What is wrong with her?" I asked. "Nothing," the woman said. I felt fear and anger. "She's an abomination, punishment for sin, hers or maybe yours." Hearing the priest's words in my voice made me even angrier. "She is no such thing." Her voice was still calm, but I caught the anger creeping in. I am good at hearing anger. "She is innocent and beautiful, more so than you or I will ever be." I had never seen anything less beautiful. "She's weak. I would kill myself before I lived like her." "That makes you the weak one, boy." The woman got onto her haunches so that we were at eye level. "You are a child. I don't want to turn any child out of my home, but you must treat my daughter kindly. I am going to teach you politeness and respect, and Anna is going to teach you about different kinds of strength." I would have argued I wanted to stay in the warm cottage with the chimney and the toe-eating chickens. Learning to be kind to a girl, even a cursed one, was better than the abbey. Over the following days I learned much. I learned Anna could not speak, but she could hear. The woman thought she was probably blind, but could not be sure. Anna liked to stroke the cat and hold chicken eggs. She was very gentle and never broke them. She did not like to hold the baby chickens, however. Anna also had fevers that gave her terrible shakes. Her eyes rolled up in her head and she seized like one possessed, which made me sure than ever that she was how she was because of God's punishment. The woman took Anna outside every day to touch flowers and leaves, cats and chickens, rocks and the fence. As she folded Anna's hands around each thing, she whispered its name until Anna responded as she knew how, which was of course her moan. "Why do you do that?" I asked the woman. "So she knows someone is always here to teach her." I watched them every day, wishing that Anna's mother would lead me around the garden and place my hands on flowers and leaves and cats and rocks while she whispered their names. I already knew all the names, of course, but I wanted someone to want to teach me. I learned to help in the garden. During a harvest, I discovered a special talent. I could smell mold and blight before it appeared. I helped the woman purge ruined vegetables before they could infect the whole crop. Blight had been a problem for a long time, but because of me it was no longer. We had much more food because of it. But no matter how much food we had, Anna would not eat. That was why she was so skinny. Skinnier even than I had been when I couldn't eat the rabbit. The woman always worried that Anna would starve. Anna did not care about starving. She only cared about moaning and spitting spitting her food out and flinging her hands. One night she hit her mother so hard that the plate clattered across the floor. The woman burst into tears. It was the first time I had ever seen her cry. I hate crying, I hate people who cry, I hate myself when I cry. But I didn't hate the woman for crying. Before my mother left me, she was sick. My baby sister made her sicker. The second baby made her sickest. Too sick to feed my sister or even herself. On those days, I fed both of them. It was not easy. Sick babies don't like to eat, neither do sick mothers, but I managed. I brought my own plate over to Anna. You have to eat. Anna moaned. That was as much answer as I was going to get, so I spooned up the softest piece of carrot in my bowl and held it to her mouth. Without hesitation, she ate it, and then another and another. For the first time in many years, she ate a whole meal. The woman cried again, but happily this time. Thank you, Kristoff. I'm glad she has a brother like you. Feeding Anna became my chore, just like sniffing the crops for blight and cutting firewood and cleaning the cottage before the patients came. The woman had many patients. She practiced medicine and midwifery. When patients came, she put Anna in a small, cozy room under the floor. She called it Anna's nest. It was not because she was ashamed of Anna, but because the patients, especially the ones come to give birth, frightened Anna. It did not help that some thought Anna was a bad omen, the stress of which made their birthing harder. It became my chore to take Anna down to her nest and sit with her during births. Sometimes I fed her, sometimes I put her hands on her blankets and carved toys and told her their names while women overhead wailed. One night the woman asked me why a boy with such a fine nose and gentle hands had come to the woods in the first place. I could never tell her. Even the idea of admitting what I had done made me want to die. I'm not a boy, I'm a wolf. Wolves belong in the woods. So they do, she said. I was happy there, feeding Anna and culling blighted vegetables and washing blood from the bedding, until the day a patient called her a witch. That made me frightened and very angry. Why, Kristoff? The woman asked. Why does this bother you? Witches don't go to heaven. Neither do wolves, which means we are going to be stuck together in hell just as we are stuck together in this house, so we must learn to get along. I admit, her argument impressed me. She sighed. I'm not a witch, but I might as well be. If you can't accept that, then you must leave. I did not leave. The number of chores slowly grew. I became an expert plant hunter. One sniff from an herb in the cottage for reference, and I could find anything in the forest. I loved smelling the plants in her kitchen and the flowers in her garden. Orris was my favorite, which delighted her. She showed me a blend of orris, beeswax, and rose that she made herself. It was the most wonderful smell. I loved it so much she made one just for me. That's how these memories smell to me. Orris, wax, and roses. I wish it didn't make me hurt to remember. In time, the witch trusted me with her patients. I didn't like that because some of her patients made me want to use my teeth again. At least the wanting was mild. Even if it hadn't been, I think the witch would have scared it out of me. The witch was different in every way from my mother. She hurled insults, but only if they were funny. She never yelled at me and never hit me, but scared me if I deserved to be scared. She was not timid or quiet. She was not pretty. She was not a good Christian or an obedient woman. She respected nothing but the people who came to her for help. She did not back down for any reason, and she did not run from anything. I once watched her chase a bear away in stocking feet with a stick. She was so fierce the bear tripped over his own feet and screamed. I did not know bears could scream until that day. And most unlike my mother, she did not care about men. I didn't like this, not a bit. What about me? I once asked. You are not a man. I bristled at her. I'm not a boy. Of course not. You are a wolf. I thought of my father, and I thought of my stepfather who left a child to starve in the snow. I thought of the priest who told me he could not help what he did because he is just a man and all men are fallen. Those thoughts made me glad to be a wolf and not a man. Even so, I knew what I had done made me a bad wolf. And bad wolves might as well be men. I did not want to tell the witch what had been done to me. I did not want to tell her about my mother or my stepfather or the priest, but I would have told her all of it 1,000 times over if it meant I did not ever have to tell how I liked to use my teeth. I did not tell her, but somehow she found out anyway. I was feeding Anna on the day she found out. The witch stomped over and slapped Anna's bowl out of my hands. Anna moaned. For once her mother paid her no attention. She hauled me up and slammed me against the wall. I have never seen anyone so angry. I have never seen a face that hated me so much. For the first time since I killed the skinny rabbit in the snow, I wept. You're no wolf. You're not even a man. You're a monster, the witch screamed. An abomination. She let go. I was too scared to stand, so I fell, hiding my face in my hands so she would not see my tears. She raged at me the whole night. She screamed herself into whispers until blood flecked her lips. Then finally, as dawn broke and Anna began to stir in her warm corner, the witch kneeled in front of me. I barely understood that it was her, so scared and small as I was. I shrank away, and when she touched my face, I did not understand it was her at all. The deepest, truest part of me believed it was my mother preparing to hit me, or her husband, or the priest, or the nuns who beat me, it made me scream. Kristoff, she said gently. Kristoff, I am sorry I scared you, but we must talk. I don't know what will happen after talking. I cannot promise that you can stay, but I promise I will not scare you again. She pulled my hands from my face and rubbed them the way I had seen mothers in the church rub the hands of their crying children. No one had ever done that for me. No one had ever touched me except to take from me or to hurt me. No one except her. We talked, and to my great relief it turned out she knew very little. If she had known everything, she would have made me leave. I know this. But she only knew about the expensive girl with the rich father and richer husband. I spoke as little as I could, which led her to her own assumptions. Each assumption was to my benefit. That is the way of mothers, I suppose. At the end of our talk she said, I love you too much to make you leave. We'll burn in hell together, the wolf with too many teeth and the witch who is his mother. That is why she let me stay. That is why I remained Anna's brother. That is why I continued to be a wolf and not a man. But there were new rules now. Since I was clearly no harmless boy, I had to do real work. I found this objectionable because I'd been doing work, hadn't I? Working her gardens until I had blisters, chopping wood until the blisters burst, cleaning until lye cracked my skin, feeding bony little Anna until she spat her food back into my face. Those are chores, Kristoff, not work. Sit and I will tell you about work. Do you know what they do to women they decide are witches? I did, all too well, but I let her tell me anyway. I have already said that witches were a grave matter in those days. The things done to witches were even graver. If they ever come for me, you are to kill me before they can. Do you understand? Yes, I said. Do you promise? Yes, I said, because I knew it was a promise I would never have to keep. Her patients knew to keep their mouths shut, but stories have a way of growing no matter what, and there were rumors of a witch in the wood. Hunters sometimes came looking for her. For many years, the witch outsmarted and avoided them. But things had changed. After the famine especially, the hunters became even more ruthless. They blamed witches for all their misfortunes and believed that killing the witches would reverse the misfortune. The witch was afraid for herself, but mostly for Anna. That, I learned, was the real reason she hid Anna from patients. Because the hunters would take Anna's existence as proof of witchcraft, and kill her as brutally as they killed witches. That was my work, to chase away the witch hunters and kill them if need be. I was very good at it. So good that for the second time in my life, I heard rumors of a monstrous wolf. This wolf did not hunt virgins. This wolf hunted men. I was an excellent hunter. I did not content myself with chasing my prey away. I killed them, especially when they ran. But that is something I have always done. Back when I lived in the Abbey, I still used my teeth on the girls who did not run, but I always let them go after, just as long as they didn't run. But I did not let witch hunters go, even when they did not run. I should have, I know that now. Killing a few was good to make people afraid. Killing so many is what ruined everything. When I was not hunting hunters, I was helping patients. The witch thought it prudent to spread stories of her strapping young son. Men are kinder to women who have other men near them. I liked helping almost as much as I liked hunting. My favorite way to help was to feed those too weak to feed themselves, and to lay beside the feverish when chills made them tremble. They always trembled less when I held them. Even the witch said I helped the fevers go down. While the witch was an excellent midwife, women and babies still died from time to time. Sometimes there were stillbirths, sometimes abortions and miscarriages. I did not like helping with those because they made me think of my sick mother and baby sister. Looking at them was hard. Most of the time there was nothing really. Even when there was something, it just looked like, well, a bit like the insides of a rabbit. But sometimes those things that looked like insides had tiny fingers, or even eyes. I hated the eyes. When I think of the word abomination, I think of those eyes. I used to wonder if that was what my soul looked like. Slick red masses with broken tiny fingers and knowing eyes. Through it all, the witch hunters continued to come. So did the stories of the man-eating wolf. The patients spoke in fear, even when the witch pointed out that this wolf had never killed a woman. But the patients only said, because the wolf is a witch's familiar, she forces him to kill men. These rumors made me smile. Not a good smile, a savage one. But wolves are, after all, savage. Many men had died by then, 8 I think, so a bounty was put on the wolf's head. I was not worried. None of the patients knew the witch as such, and none knew her gentle, well-mannered son for a wolf. Even if they had known, I would not have been afraid because I knew in my heart that she would protect me. The bounty brought scores of new wolf hunters to join the witch hunters. And then one night, one man hunting both got closer than anyone ever had. I got rid of him, but carelessly. I thought he was alone, but I was wrong, and I did not have time to dispose of his body before his brothers came upon his body. I hid myself but barely, and I watched them. They had weapons. The sight frightened me badly, but not as badly as what they said. The wolf belongs to the witch in the cottage. Catch it before it returns to her. I ran as I have never run. When I burst into our cottage, screaming the alarm, screams were hurled right back at me. The witch was attending an emergency birth and it was going very wrong. The mother was whiter than white, so white she was yellow and the baby was not moving. "They're coming," I screamed. "The hunters are coming for us." "That's your work, Kristoff," she told me. "There are too many," I said. "That's all right. I know you did your best. Now let me do my work." She put the baby in my arms and tended to the mother. The baby was already blue. I looked at her and thought of my sister. I wondered if she was still alive. I wondered if the new baby was also alive, or if he was dead like the one in my arms. I did not feel sadness at these thoughts, but tears burned my eyes anyway. The witch cursed in despair. Then she hurried over and opened the trapdoor to Anna's nest. "Be quiet, Anna. You must be quiet as the cat hunting mice in the night, until Kristoff comes to fetch you." Anna did not even moan. "Kristoff," said the witch. I couldn't look at her. I couldn't look away from the baby. She pried it away from me gently and placed it on its mother. Then she took my face in her hands. "Kristoff, you know what they do to witches. Don't let them. Remember your promise. You can tell them you caught me. You caught me in the act of killing this mother and her child and killed me, that you chased off the familiar. Then you and Anna..." "No. Please." She began to sob. "You promised. I need you to take care of Anna. You have to. Please, Kristoff. This is the only..." And then the hunters smashed their way in. They smashed my knee next, but that didn't stop me from fighting. It took 2 men to hold me down. The others turned their attention to the witch. I knew what they were going to do. It would be horrific, inhumane, cruelty beyond cruelty. I knew it would be like all the times I have used my teeth. As I watched them bear down on her, I thought, they want to do what I have done. They are what I am. As they stood there laughing and preparing to destroy her, the witch gave me a look. No, not a look, an order. A silent, desperate command. Seeing that look on her face gave me a final charge of strength. I launched myself from my captor's grip and landed on the floor beside her. Then, weaponless and desperate, I tore my mother's throat out with my teeth. I remember cradling her, screaming in rage and loathing and grief. I remember the pain in my heart, heavy and rotten, burning. I remember how she smiled at me. That smile did not help. I held her, sobbing and screaming, and I understood that every time I'd used my teeth, it had been on someone like her, someone no one cared about. I was breaking. My thoughts were breaking as I sat there, weeping and holding her with her blood gush through my fingers. A hunter ran at me. I felt a knife cold and hard in my chest, and I fell forward. I managed just barely to keep a blood-slick grip on the witch's hand. The world faded, and then it exploded again into purest, cleanest light. I stood within a soft golden sun under a gate of stars that opened to something impossibly beautiful, heaven itself. Beside me, the witch who was my mother, radiant and whole, was ascending with her hand in mine. I wept for joy because I believed we were ascending together, the wolf with too many teeth and the witch who was his mother, together in heaven, until her hand slipped out of mine. She kept ascending, but I stayed trapped on the ground. I reached for her desperately, screaming for her, fingers tangling in her dress. I tore away the hem, which sparkled like a starry sky as it drifted down. When it fell across my screaming mouth, I heard the witch's voice, gentle and sad. "Wolves with teeth can't go to heaven." The golden light went out. I was back in the filthy, blood-soaked cottage, gasping wetly through deflating lungs. Something cold and sharp and heavy, another knife, went through me once, twice, 3 times. I felt hands on me, dragging me away, and then I fell asleep. I woke alone in the darkness, blood and rot sharp in my nose. I crawled along the floor, searching for my mother. I found her mangled body in the corner, broken and unrecognizable. I curled up beside her and slept again. When morning came, she was still broken and dead, the same as the night before, but as I held my hands up to the sunlight, I saw that I was not myself, or perhaps that I was finally, truly myself. Wolfish and bony and feral, inhuman, like my outsides had finally been cursed to match my insides. I looked like the abomination I had always been at heart, the monstrous wolf, except for my mouth. You see, where fangs should be there was nothing, nothing at all. The big bad wolf had no teeth. I laughed until I wept, then I screamed because for the second time my mother had left me behind. But when I heard Anna moaning in her nest, I remembered I was not the only one she left. Even though I looked like a monster, Anna took my hand. I fed her, then I buried our mother and cleaned the cottage and checked on the chickens. As I worked, crying but resolute, I felt myself change. It was slow but unmistakable. I was growing smaller again, less wolfish, less monstrous. I still had no teeth, but otherwise I looked like myself. I did not know if that made me glad or angry. I didn't have time to wonder because I had Anna to care for. I fed her and walked her out each day. I put her hands on the flowers and the eggs and the cat and told her their names. I sewed her clothes and sang her songs, and tucked her into bed and held her when the fevers made her shudder and throw up. I did all of this every day. I did all of it and more. I promised I would take care of her until I died. She died first. The fever came, and no matter what I did, no matter how I held her, it would not leave. Not until she died in my arms and grew cold while I screamed. I remember that. I thought I would die with her, that I would go to heaven with her and our mother. Instead, my teeth grew back. back. With my teeth grew the desire to use them. I tried to fight it, but I am not strong. I have never been strong. My teeth were not the only things that grew. I grew tall, then very tall. I grew strong, then very strong. I did not grow more pretty. The pretty fell away like my teeth, but it didn't grow back. I'm glad. I am glad to be strong and not pretty. When you're pretty, people do things to you. When you're strong, you do things to other people. When you are very strong, you don't have to wait for them to let you. Don't look at me like that, not you. Kristoff launched himself across the table. I swung to the side so hard I fell out of my chair. He kept coming, taking a swipe that tore the back off the chair. I've never seen the look on his face, never even imagined it. It short-circuited my fear response and supercharged every survival instinct I had. Among those instincts was the one that makes me who I am, the one that tells me how to make people talk, the one that told me, from the moment I met the screaming mess in front of me, to never ever run from him. I tried futilely to put him a restraint hold, a leftover instinct from my old job, one that did not serve me now. He threw me off and whipped around just as the door crashed open. The right instinct came roaring back. I threw myself in between the intruder, not intruder, my boss Charlie, Dr. Wingeride, and Kristoff. I felt sick. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to have a panic attack. I wanted to run, but I didn't dare. Don't think about what he is. Think about who he was. Think about the little boy who cried when he buried the rabbit. Leave him alone, Charlie, I said. He's good. He's done. He did exactly what he was supposed to, so just... Dr. Wingeride yanked me out of the room, slamming the door. Kristoff smashed into it the second it latched. He pulled, shrieking every obscenity under the sun, but the autolock kept it in place. I couldn't help but wonder what it was made of, given that even he wasn't strong enough to break it. You did really well, Dr. Wingeride told me, practically glowing. That's exactly what we needed you to do. Exactly. The question spilled out of me before I could stop myself. How many women has he killed? That's a conversation you can have with him when and if, how many. This really isn't for me to... I cut him off, rudely, kind of violently even. Like seriously, I threw a big tantrum, big enough that afterward, Dr. Wingeride told me he'd have rather dealt with Kristoff. That's easy for him to say though. I have a meeting with Commander Raphael Wingeride in a couple of hours. He's Charlie's brother. Perhaps more relevantly, he's Kristoff's field supervisor. Probably the only person in this facility with enough authority to make Kristoff calm down. I don't know what he's going to say. I'm not even sure I want to know. All I really know that for the first time since I got here, I just want to get the hell out. I haven't looked at my own reflection properly in weeks. Not in a mirror, not in a shop window, not even in the dark screen of my phone before it lights up. Because when I do, he's there, standing right behind me, watching. It started about a month ago after the incident at the beach. I used to be a lifeguard. It wasn't a career, just a summer job to pay the bills. Most days were boring. Kids running, people forgetting sunscreen, the occasional jellyfish sting. Routine stuff. But that day was different. There was an old man. He seemed confused, disoriented. He kept wandering towards the water, fully clothed. I gently guided him back towards his family, who seemed exasperated, explaining he had dementia. This happened a few times. I got busy with a kid who'd scraped his knee. Took my eye off the old man for maybe 10 minutes max. That's all it took. When I looked up again, he was out there, way out, beyond the breakers where the water gets deep and treacherous. He wasn't swimming. He was flailing, his head bobbing under the waves, panic etched on his face. I blew my whistle, grabbed my float, and sprinted into the surf. The water was cold, the current strong. I swam as hard as I could, my arms burning, my lungs screaming, but I was too late. By the time I reached the spot where I'd last seen him, he was gone. Just the empty, indifferent gray water. We searched for hours. His body washed up a mile down the coast the next morning. The guilt was immense, crushing. It was my job to watch, to protect, and I'd failed. I hadn't noticed him in time. If I'd just been more vigilant. A few days after the funeral it started, I was brushing my teeth, staring blankly into the bathroom mirror, and there he was. Not in the mirror exactly, but behind my reflection, the old man. His skin was bloated and pale, the color of wet parchment. His eyes were hollow, dark pits. His clothes were soaked, clinging to his thin frame, and he was just looking at me. Not accusingly, not angrily, just looking, like he was waiting for something. I splashed water on my face, thinking I was overtired, stressed, but when I looked again, he was still there, clear almost. It wasn't just the bathroom mirror, it was any reflective surface. A puddle on the sidewalk after it rained, the shiny chrome of a car bumper, the dark surface of my morning coffee before I stirred in the milk. Every time I caught my own reflection, there he was. A silent, bloated passenger standing just over my shoulder. Always the same expressionless, hollow-eyed stare, always looking right at me. I tried to ignore it, to tell myself it was just stress, a vivid manifestation of my guilt, but he was so real. The way the waterlogged fabric of his shirt seemed to sag, the faint, almost imperceptible blue tinge to his lips, details my mind shouldn't have been able to conjure so vividly. Sleep became a battlefield. I'd close my eyes and see him floating in the darkness behind my eyelids. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, convinced he was standing in the corner of my room just out of sight. My appetite vanished. I lost weight. The world started to feel thin, unreal, like a poorly projected image. Eventually, I broke down and went to a psychiatrist. I felt like a fool trying to explain it. I keep seeing The Man Who Drowned in reflections. The psychiatrist, a kind woman with tired eyes, listened patiently. She nodded a lot. She called it a grief-induced hallucinatory manifestation, a fancy way of saying my guilt was making me see things. She prescribed some mild anti-anxiety medication and gave me some advice. The most important thing, she said, her voice calm and reassuring, is to try and break the association. Avoid looking at reflective surfaces for a while. Consciously turn away. When the guilt starts to fade, when you begin to process the trauma, these visions, they will lessen. They'll go away. It sounded too simple, but I was desperate. So I tried. I really tried. I covered the mirror in my bathroom with a towel. I avoided shop windows. I learned to shave by feel. I stopped drinking coffee from dark mugs. It was difficult, living in a world where I had to constantly avert my gaze from my own image, but I was determined to make him go away. For a week, it almost seemed to work. I wasn't seeing him because I wasn't looking. The meds took the edge off my anxiety. I started to sleep a little better. I thought, maybe she's right, maybe this is just my mind playing tricks on me, and then things got so much worse. It was evening. I was walking home from the grocery store. The sun was setting, casting long, distorted shadows on the pavement. I glanced down at my own shadow stretching out in front of me, and he was there. Not a reflection, but a shadow superimposed over mine, standing just behind it. And this time, there was something new. He seemed closer. Not physically closer in the shadow, but the feeling of him was more intense, more present, like he'd taken a step towards me in whatever spectral space he occupied. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just water reflections anymore. Over the next few days, it escalated. I'd see him in the faint reflection on my TV screen when it was off, in the polished surface of a tabletop, in the glint of my own glasses if I caught them at the wrong angle. And every single time, he was a little bit closer. His shadowy form in my shadow was no longer just behind me. It was almost merging with mine. The feeling of his presence was becoming oppressive, a constant weight on my chest. The psychiatrist's advice had backfired spectacularly. Avoiding reflections hadn't made him go away. It had made him adapt, spread, like a stain. I stopped taking the medication. It wasn't helping. This wasn't a hallucination I could medicate away. This was something else, something real. And I realized something I hadn't told the psychiatrist, something I hadn't told anyone. The old man, when he was drowning, I hadn't been too late. That's the lie I told myself, the lie I told everyone. The truth is, I reached him. I saw the panic in his eyes, felt his frail, desperate hands clawing at me as he fought for air. I had him. I could have pulled him in. I could have saved him. But I didn't. You see, being a lifeguard, it presents opportunities. People are vulnerable in the water, unsuspecting, and I have a hobby. A very particular kind of hobby. It started a few years ago, a need, a curiosity, to see what it felt like, to watch the light go out of someone's eyes knowing I was the cause. My first was a drunk who'd passed out too close to the tide line late one night. Easy. Messy, but easy. After that, the guilt was different. Not like this. It was a sharp, almost exhilarating thing, a secret power, and it faded quickly, especially after the next one. Each new experience, each new type of ending I orchestrated seemed to cleanse the palate, so to speak. The thrill of the new, the challenge, it pushed the old memories down. The old man with his dementia, his helplessness, he was a new type, so vulnerable, so trusting, even in his confusion. It was supposed to be interesting, a new texture for my collection. I held him under just for a moment longer than necessary, watched the last bubbles escape his lips. Then I let go and played the part of the grieving, failed lifeguard. This spectral presence, this constant watery accuser, this had never happened before. With the others, there was nothing, just the quiet satisfaction of a completed project. But him, he was clinging to me, or I was clinging to him. I decided the psychiatrist was wrong, but maybe the underlying principle was right. I needed to break the association, but not by avoidance, by repetition, by overlaying this bad memory with a new one, a fresh experience. That's what had worked before. That's how I'd managed the lingering thoughts after the first time. I needed to get back on the horse, so to speak. So I went back to the beach, not the same one, a different one a few towns over. I got my old lifeguard certification renewed, no questions asked. I needed to be in that environment. I needed the opportunity. For a week I sat in the chair, scanning the waves, my skin crawling. Every ripple on the water, every glint of sun showed him to me. Still there, still watching, closer now, his face almost touching my reflection's shoulder, his hollow eyes staring directly into mine. But I forced myself to look, to endure it. I was waiting. Then I saw her, a young woman swimming alone far out from the shore, away from the crowds. She was a strong swimmer, but she was isolated, vulnerable, perfect. This was it. This would fix it. A new memory to overwrite the old. I stood up, grabbed my float, my heart pounding with a familiar, dark excitement that almost drowned out the dread. I jogged towards the water's edge. This time, I wouldn't be too late. This time, I'd be perfectly on time. The first wave washed over my ankles, cold, and then it happened. It wasn't a cramp, it wasn't a stumble, it was hands. Icy, impossibly strong hands, erupting from the sand beneath the shallow water, clamping around my ankles like manacles. They were bone-chillingly cold, and their grip was like iron. I cried out, a strangled yelp, and looked down. There was nothing there, just the water swirling around my legs. But the grip was real. It was pulling me down, pulling me towards the deeper water. Panic, raw and absolute, a kind I'd never experienced before, exploded in my chest. This wasn't part of the plan. I thrashed, kicking, trying to break free, but the hands held firm, their grip tightening, dragging me deeper. The water was up to my knees, then my waist. I could feel the sandy bottom dropping away beneath my feet. I screamed, a real scream this time, not the performance I'd perfected. I clawed at the water, at the air, fighting against the invisible force that was trying to drown me. For a terrifying moment, I thought this was it. This was how it ended, the hunter becoming the hunted. With a final desperate surge of adrenaline, I threw myself backwards towards the shore, towards the solid ground. The hands resisted for a moment, then, with a reluctance that felt almost like a sigh, they released me. I scrambled back onto the wet sand, gasping, coughing, my body trembling uncontrollably. I lay there for a moment, the sun beating down on me, the sounds of the happy, oblivious beachgoers a million miles away. Then, slowly, I pushed myself up and looked at the water. He was there, standing in the shallow surf as clear as daylight, not a reflection, not a shadow. Him, the old man, bloated, waterlogged, his clothes clinging to him, his hollow eyes were fixed on me. But this time there was something new, something that sent a sliver of ice straight through my soul. He was smiling, a wide, slow, knowing smile, a smile that said, I see you, I know what you are, and you're not getting away. It wasn't guilt, it wasn't a hallucination, it was him, he was real, and he wasn't just watching anymore, he was interacting, he was protecting others from me. I didn't wait, I didn't think, I just ran. I ran from the beach, from the water, from that smiling dead man. I ran until I reached my car, and I drove until I reached my apartment. I'm here now. The towel is off the mirror. I can't avoid it anymore. He's there, standing behind me, closer than ever. His smile is gone, replaced by that same patient, hollow-eyed stare. But now I understand it. It's not blame, it's a promise. What do I do? How do I get rid of him? I can't go back to the beach. I can't go near the ocean. But what if that's not enough? What if, like before, he adapts? What if he starts appearing not just in reflections, but in the room with me? What if those hands aren't confined to the water? I thought I was the predator. I thought I was in control, but I was wrong. I'm haunted. I'm marked. It was 5 of us in total, me, Ty, Matt, Reese, and the pilot. His name was Rick, old guy, maybe late 50s, worn out hoodie, work boots laced to the ankle, didn't say much beyond basic safety instructions. He met us in a clearing past the last subdivision, just this empty stretch of field that smelled like burned grass. No fences, no signs. The basket was already upright, balloon half filled and swaying. Ty booked the ride on a whim, found it on some forum, said it'd be about 40 minutes in the air. Sunset flight, smooth and scenic, the post said, bring a jacket. That was all. We took off at around 7:15, still light out, barely. The burner roared overhead, loud but somehow comforting, and the balloon rose clean. No lurch, no pull, just this silent lift that made the whole thing feel like a trick. Rick barely looked at us once we were up, just worked the burner and adjusted the cords while we passed over houses that looked like Monopoly pieces. The air felt thick with sun-warmed silence. At first it was fun. Ty cracked jokes. Matt was filming on his phone. Reese leaned over the edge more than I was comfortable with, spitting once just to see how long it took to disappear. I was quiet, watching shadows crawl across the ground as the light slipped west. It felt calm, until it didn't. I can't say exactly when it changed, maybe 15, 20 minutes in. The trees looked darker, longer. The fields were endless, no more houses, no roads, just an ocean of green that turned black the second the sun dropped below the hills. I looked at Rick. He was still standing with one hand on the burner valve, staring ahead like he was waiting for something. His expression hadn't changed since takeoff. Ty asked, how long until we come back down? No response. Rick didn't move, didn't blink. Reese laughed nervously. Hey man, you good? Still nothing. Matt reached out and touched his shoulder. Rick didn't react. He was breathing but stiff, frozen, like he'd fallen asleep with his eyes open. The burner fired again. Flame roared above us. We were still climbing. I could feel it in my ears. Pressure building. Wind had vanished. The trees were just a dark smear now. No lights below, no signs of life. I think we're too high, I said. Reese stepped back from the edge. I don't see anything anymore, no town, no glow. Shouldn't we be seeing like streetlights or something? Ty's voice was tighter now. What is this, man? Nobody had an answer. Then Rick moved. Not much, just a shift in his weight, a small turn. His eyes scanned past us, not quite making contact. He let go of the burner, walked to the edge of the basket. No build-up, no words, no warning. He climbed over the edge. We all froze. Ty grabbed the side. Yo, what the hell are you? But Rick was already halfway over, one leg dangling, calm as anything, and then he stepped off. Gone. No scream, no thud, no flutter of clothes, just gone. We rushed to the edge, looked down. Darkness. At first I thought I saw something, movement below, a shadow against shadows. Then Reese spoke, almost a whisper. There's another one. What? Matt asked. Look, he pointed. Below us, another balloon. Identical, same striped envelope, same wicker basket, same shape. 4 figures inside, all standing, all looking up. I followed Reese's gaze upward. Above us, another. Same balloon, 4 more figures, all facing down. None of them moved. The air got colder. Matt stepped back, shaking his head. What is this? What is this? Reese started pulling the emergency cord over and over. Nothing happened. We're not descending, I said. Why aren't we going down? The burner hissed again, still climbing. The 4 of us pressed in close now, no one talking, just breathing harder, watching the balloons above and below like mirrors in the sky. They weren't reflections, they weren't delayed, they weren't random. Each one of them was us. Same heights, same builds, same silhouettes. Matt spoke, voice tight. That's not possible, that's not— Shut up, Ty said. Just shut up for a second. The balloon above us was drifting lower, slowly, like it was being drawn to us. I felt at first a low shift in the air pressure, like something large was coming toward us without making a sound. Then Reese stepped toward the edge. Matt caught his arm. Don't. Reese didn't look at him, didn't say anything. He climbed up. I moved to stop him too late. He stepped over, just gone. We rushed to the side, balloon below, 3 figures now. Ty started backing into the corner of the basket, staring at us, then down, then up again. His voice was cracking. He's down there, that's him, that's Reese down there. Matt was breathing heavy. This isn't real, this isn't real. I leaned back against the burner frame. My chest hurt, my fingers were numb. Above us, the balloon was closer, much closer. I could make out details now. One of the figures was leaning forward, elbows on the edge, looking straight at me. He didn't blink. I think he was me. It's just 3 of us now. Me, Ty, and Matt. Reese is gone, Rick too. The balloon keeps climbing. The one above is maybe 50 feet away now. I can see its stripes more clearly, red, yellow, and dark green like ours. The envelope flickers softly in the moonless dark, almost glowing from the heat of its own burner. And the people inside, they don't move. They just stare. I tried yelling, nothing, no reaction. Ty won't stop whispering. It's like he's talking to himself, but low and fast like he doesn't want us to hear. I saw his jacket, he says. Reese. He's wearing his jacket down there. Matt finally snaps. We don't know that. You didn't see anything. I did, Ty hisses loud now. You just don't want to believe it. They start arguing. I can't follow it. I'm focused on the horizon, if there even is one. It's all black now. The air's thin, cold. My skin feels dry like my body's trying to shrink itself. And then I see the lights, just 3, out in the dark below us. A faint glow, barely visible at first, then clearer. A barn, wide and sagging in the middle. One side caved in. A factory, windowless except one tall smokestack with a faint flickering light behind a window near the roof. A church, long and narrow, crooked spire pointing into the void. We pass over them. Did you see that? I ask. Matt nods. Yeah. Ty doesn't answer. He's still pacing, arms crossed tight across his chest. His lips are moving, but he isn't saying anything out loud anymore. 5 minutes pass, maybe 10, and then the buildings come back. Same exact ones, same broken barn, same crooked spire, same flickering factory window. Okay, Matt mutters. That's not possible, that's not— I counted the shingles, I whisper. It's the same barn. Ty's in the corner, knees pulled to his chest now. We drift in silence. The burner fires again, and now I realize something worse. We're not just drifting past the buildings, we're stuck on them. A loop. Like a cheap simulation. Like the world below is just wallpaper. The same strip of terrain playing again and again. Where the hell are we? Matt whispers. No one answers. The balloon above, closer now. I can see the face of the one leaning over. He's got my build, my shoulders. His head tilts slightly when I move, like a reflection that's lagging. Then Matt goes still. His eyes are fixed on something behind me. Someone's coming down. First turn from the balloon above, one figure is climbing, hand over hand, slow, down the rope netting, legs swinging slightly with the breeze. Steady, no fear in how he moves, like he knows exactly where he's going. I take a step back, heart thudding hard enough to hurt. Ty starts rocking now, mumbling something rhythmically, faster and faster. Matt stares at the climbing figure like he's frozen, and then Matt bolts. He doesn't say a word, just runs at the edge and jumps. He doesn't hesitate, doesn't cry out, gone. I spin and grab the side, balloon below, 2 figures now, me and Ty. I stagger back, my breathing's too fast. I feel like my body's turning inside out. The figure from above is almost here. I can hear the soft creak of the rope ladder now, the wooden clunk of his foot landing on the basket. I don't want to look, but I do. He stands a few feet away, same height, same jacket, same hands. Face in shadow, but I know, it's me. He just stares, tilts his head, then tilts it back the other way. Not mocking, not curious, just copying. Ty finally screams. It's sudden and raw and loud in the dead air. He jumps to his feet and points. There's more, he yells. I look over, the balloon below. It's no longer just one, there are 2, stacked, slightly offset, both rising, and above us another has appeared, higher still. I don't understand. It's not just one above and one below anymore. It's layers, dozens of them, going up, going down. Some of them have baskets filled with people, some have none, some have me. The one in our basket hasn't moved, still staring, still watching. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Ty backs away, arms trembling, then he grabs the burner valve and yanks it. The flame shoots up with a scream of gas. He pulls again and again, no control, just panic. We have to get out, he mutters. It's gonna keep going, it doesn't end. I shout at him, but it's no use. He's lost in it. He steps to the edge, 1 foot over. No, Ty. He looks at me once, just once. Then he falls backward into the dark. The balloon below, just one figure now. Me, and the other. He's still staring. We're both standing here in the same basket. The burner cuts off, no flame, no sound, no movement. We just float. Above and below, copies of us. I sit down slowly, staring into the black. Then I hear the wind shift, just a little. The copy of me walks over and sits beside me, not touching, just sitting. We stare out together at the horizon, where the barn, the factory, and the church repeat again for the 5th time. I'm not sure which one of us is the real me anymore. I've been writing this for a dozen or so cycles now. If you can see this, my phone now has reception, and you know what I've had to do. I've been bitten. Let's get that out of the way. I'm not making it out of here. I don't know how long I have until I'm like them, so we have to hurry, okay? I start to draw on the whiteboard. This is the school, this is the gym, and here's where the teacher's lounge is. The wound on my leg is bleeding. I know they can see it. I stop to tighten my makeshift bandage. We don't panic, I say slowly to my 7 remaining students, their faces pale and wide-eyed. We plan. They glance at each other nervously. I put on my best face. They need to be confident if this is going to work. If they freeze out there, they'll be ripped apart. I start to hand out thick textbooks to everyone. I take the last and begin to rip out the pages until only the cover remains. I tape the pageless book loosely to the forearm of Sophia, the class leader. Now, if I'm trying to bite or scratch you, I say, slowly demonstrating my point, you have a shield. Use it to escape an attack. I slowly attack Sophia. She blocks my foe's strike and I go to bite her forearm, but the book does its job. Then, while your attacker is busy with your shield, slip out of it and run away. Like a lizard and its tail, Corey says, his scientific mind always making connections. Exactly. Get started with the books and try not to have too much fun with it. I know you've wanted to do this for a while now. The mood lightens a bit. They start on the project, reminiscent of craft time. I'm so astonished by their resiliency. I'm fully aware that my time is finite and every second counts, but I take a moment to bask in my pride. I return to the whiteboard and continue detailing the diagram in ways they would recognize. There's a tug on my shirt. It's the twins, Lena and Micah. I'm sorry, I don't think there's an exit there. Lena finishes softly, pointing at the fire escape I marked beside the east hallway. I blink, leaning closer to the board. What do you mean? Micah steps up beside her, silent as always, and opens the tattered notebook he never lets go of. There's a rough sketch inside our school. You made this? The detail in the sketch is impressive. It was bricked over during the summer remodel. The other side of that wall is a bathroom now, she says calmly. They're right, how could I forget that? I hand the marker to Micah, and the twins go to work on the whiteboard. I check on the others. Sophia has finished hers and is helping make extras for Lena and Micah. She's very observant and feeling the need of the moment without being asked. There's a shuffling sound outside the door. Everyone stops what they're doing and watches. The blinds are down. That's typical lockdown protocol, but the slow scraping sound of dragging or limping. A whinny is what we call them. They're the most common in the school. They drag their ribboned flesh down the halls and into classrooms while calling the name. Winnie. Sophia wraps an arm around the smallest girl, Ellie. Corey places a paper-shielded hand gently on her back. Winnie. It starts to bang on the door. Thump, pause. Winnie, thump, pause, Winnie. I motion to everyone to stay still and quiet. I wish I could call for help, but not even 911 is picking up. All phones do for us now is make noise, which gives me an idea. I go to Antonio and make a gesture to take out his phone. He looks at me confused. I've written him up for being distracting with it. I know he has it. We don't have time for rules. Take out your phone, I say in a hush. I'm not taking it from you. Thump, pause. Winnie. He relents. My mom said not to tell anyone. She won't get me another, he whispers. I motion for him and everyone else to watch. I take out my phone and write my number on the whiteboard. Dial my number, and when I say so, press call. Antonio gives me a nod of acknowledgement. I motion to the largest boy, Derek, to come over to where I am. I remember his grandma showing me pictures of him playing pee-wee baseball, and since I'm going to be controlling the door in case things get out of hand, I trust him to make the throw that will let them, finish preparations. My head is starting to hurt. Derek crouches beside me, eyes flicking to the door, to my leg, to the phone glowing dimly in my palm. Where do you want it? He whispers. Far, I say. Down by the art wing lockers. You remember how the floor slopes? Let gravity help you. It still needs to function. I hand him the phone. I count down silently from 3, then open the door enough to let Derek do his thing. With a swift underhand motion, the phone goes sliding down the hallway. I slam the door hard. Now, Antonio, I say, holding the door shut from the now aggressive Winnie pushing from the other side. A moment later, the shrill sound of my ringtone playing echoes in the hall. The door's force eases. Winnie? The sound of a dragging limb moves away, and with the end of the ringing also comes the end of the threat, for now at least. I need to sit down. I'm feeling sore and my leg feels hot. They watch me move to my chair and slump in it. Looking at them reminds me of a balloon losing air. What do we do when we're outside? Sophia asks. Look after each other. Find somewhere safe. Never stop learning. I don't know what's waiting out there, but I believe in all of you. We could go to my house. I don't have any neighbors. It's kind of far, but there's plenty of room, and my mom's been canning all summer if you like vegetables, Ellie peeps. She usually doesn't speak up in a group like this. She, like all of them, is growing up before my eyes. I wish I could go with them to ensure their safety, but that was never my job. My job has always been to prepare them for the outside world, and I hope I've done that. Everyone look at the whiteboard, try to memorize the route outside. You can't go the way you usually would. 5 minis, then it's time to go. Things are getting dizzy. They wear their bravest faces. I sit behind my desk and watch them as each gives me a last look. Derek watches over Ellie. Corey holds his shield prepared for defense. Lena and Micah, navigation at the ready. Antonio gathers all the phones from the confiscation box and shoves them in his pockets. And Sophia, confident and strong. We don't panic, we plan, she says as the last of them enters the hallway. They're ready for anything. When they're gone, I just stare at their seats. I can feel the blood running down my leg and see the pool it's making underneath me. There's a sweater at one of the desks. They need every advantage they can get, I say to myself. With a groan, I get up and grab the sweater. I open the door and wonder if they would still hear me if I called to them. Winnie.
If you enjoyed these stories, please consider subscribing and liking this video. Let me know your thoughts of these stories in the comments below. I frequently talk to my viewers there. But anyways, I hope you were creeped out.
Just kidding. Stay safe.